Okay, I know what you guys are saying. I know what you guys are thinking already. Carlos Sainz getting his podium after a week where I mentioned the fact that he needs to step up. And the fact where I mentioned maybe he's the problem at Williams. And you couldn't write this up, could you? You couldn't write this up, surely. How Carlos Sainz doubted the odds with an exceptional qualifying session. First of all, a Williams getting into Q3 is one thing. A Williams finishing P2 in quali is something else. And at one point, he was P1. He was a provisional pole position in that Williams in Baku. Sensational. Let's just call it what it is. What a moment. This is probably the biggest, like Kimi Antonelli's had his pole position, had his podium finishes, right? He's won the Sprint Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has won a sprint race in a Ferrari in China. He's got a sprint pole position as well. But there is something about this podium this season. There are so many feel-good moments in Formula One in 2025, but there's something about this one. And I tell you why, because of everything that happened to Carlos Sainz last season. When you think about it, right, he gets the breaking news at the start of a season that he will be no longer in Ferrari in 2025. Lewis Hamilton comes in and basically just takes his seat. If you remember at the early stage of the season, Carlos Sainz had an issue with his appendix, had to go through surgery. He comes back from surgery and wins the race. Is it in Australia? He wins the race. And he's going through all of these emotions. He's going head to head with Charles Leclerc, and he's done bloody well against Charles Leclerc as well. You know, Charles Leclerc wasn't hands down the best driver in Ferrari. He wasn't. He really gave a good account for himself, Carlos Sainz, right? And then to the fact he couldn't find a team. You know, throughout the whole course of the season, the guy's he's doing what he can to get a good seat in Formula One in 2025, right? In 2024, he was doing everything he could. Mercedes were not knocking on his door. Mercedes were too busy looking at whether or not Max Verstappen exists. They were thinking about their star boy in Kimi Antonelli. You look at Red Bull and you think, how is he not getting a call up for Red Bull? Now, whether they thought Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz back as a teammate again, remember they were teammates at Toro Rosso. It wasn't the best of relationships. It wasn't horrible, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best. And they thought maybe, I don't think we need that problem anymore. Maybe that was Horner's thinking. I wonder if Lauren Mecky's, had he been the team principal last season, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Carlos Sainz would be in a Red Bull seat. That's just my opinion. But if you're Christian Horner, you're probably thinking, I don't want that smoke. I don't need this heat. What I like in my Red Bull team is one guy is good, the other one is stinky, or at least is just a supporter of Max Verstappen, because it was all about Max Verstappen as far as Christian Horner is concerned. Okay, cool. So then, McLaren, he's just come from McLaren. Can he go back there? Not quite. The places were getting thinner and thinner in terms of options. And at one point, we were looking at whether or not he was going to be at Alpine, where he'd already been at Renault before, whether he's going to be in a Williams, a Haas, or a Sauber. Like, this is where we were with him. And it was a sad state of affairs last season, thinking about this. Like, why can't he get a gig? How is Carlos Sainz, race winner, multiple race winner, not getting a gig in 2025? It felt like that the same way when Checo was losing his seat at Racing Point to Sebastian Vettel in 2021. How is he without a seat? And until the very depths of the 2020 season, he gets a seat at Red Bull. He ends up going to Williams, and now you're thinking, okay, fine, do you know what? Let's see what it is, isn't it? Let's see what it is. Maybe this is the last time we're not going to see Carlos Sainz win a championship. Like, the dream that he probably had, he thought he would win a championship in Formula One by the time his career's come and done. He's been in Formula One 10 years now. And it's crazy how fast those 10 years go. He goes to Williams and you think, okay, fine, let's see what happens. Alex Albon's a very, very good driver. James Vowles has done nothing but sensational work in that Williams since he's joined as team principal. Carlos Sainz then gets into that seat, and it's a half decent start because you're thinking it's a brand new team. Let me get my feet under the table. Let's see how we get on as the season progresses. Then it started to go a bit bad. Then it was starting to go a bit worse. I mentioned this in the video last week, so click the cards and have a look. But the performances were not being good. And Alex Albon, on the other hand, was performing sensationally well, ahead of Kimi Antonelli in the Drivers' Championship last week. Carlos Sainz P18 in the Drivers' Championship. 10, 11 places behind Alex Albon, his teammate. So even if it means, you know what, you start a new team, brand new season, you need to get used to it a little bit, fine. We were like race 16 at the time I made the recording of the last week's video. We're now race 17 and things have improved. But this is special because of the hardship. What I've basically gone through is just how hard it's been for Carlos Sainz over these last 12 months, 18 months, however long you want to call it. Carlos Sainz has had an uphill battle. He's had an uphill battle. And it feels like he's had an uphill battle throughout his Formula One career, because it always feels like he's having to prove himself or prove to everybody like how good he can be, how good he is. And I wonder if that's the fact that his dad, Carlos Sainz Sr., who's a two-time rally world champion, obviously came with a lot of expectation. And in the beginning, we were hearing him being called Carlos Sainz Jr. for a while. Then it kind of got dropped because it was like, no, I'm Carlos Sainz too. Like, I'm my own guy. And he's had to live up to that name. And he's done incredibly well. He's done incredibly well, Carlos Sainz, in his Formula One career, really. And it's a shame that we may not see him win races again. Maybe. Depends on how good that Williams will be in the new regulations and the new iteration of Formula One from 2026 onwards. I'm hoping for big things with Williams. I am really hoping we can get back to those, maybe not glory days, but just close enough. Because they've been in some dire straits in the past. But at least now they're really, really solid. They're really, really doing well. They're really doing their thing there. And I'm just so delighted for him. I'm happy to see Carlos Sainz having a great time as things stand. But Carlos Sainz getting that podium, honestly, he said on the radio after the race, this is the best podium. I promise you guys, it's the best podium. Because of all the baggage, all the emotion, all the journey, the entire long haul of everything. And let's be honest, nobody would have predicted Carlos Sainz on the podium in a Williams. You would not have. You would not have. And so the fact that we actually get him in a Williams on the podium, on merit, really. Because say what you want about the other drivers, like, your McLarens and your Mercedes and whoever, they didn't perform on Saturday in quali, and they didn't perform on Sunday. Carlos Sainz did. He's in a Williams starting P2, he finishes P3. It's only George Russell that overtakes him in a Mercedes, which you could probably expect. But he kept people behind him. He kept Kimi Antonelli behind him. And I know Racing Bulls, was it Liam Lawson that finished P5? So not a great deal was going on. I saw Lando Norris, was it Tsunoda P6, Norris P7? So there were not necessarily cars that are necessarily that competitive against the Williams, but then I think you'd argue that they are. Williams and RB, yeah, they could swing. They could go fight pound for pound. But Carlos Sainz held his own. He held his own. And we have to acknowledge that. We have to remember what the journey has been throughout his entire Williams career. And his Formula One career, rather, sorry. But this Williams career, this Williams chapter, started okay, got dark quickly. And that's where the video came from. The video came from the fact that, actually, Carlos, it's kind of now or never. You've really got to turn the screw. And boy, did he turn the screw in Baku. Boy, did he turn the screw. And hopefully, this kickstarts and gets him back, that confidence back, and getting back in them points regularly, top 7 points, you know what I mean? Like regularly being in there and really ending the season well with Williams. And who knows what 2026 will bring. If all of a sudden the Williams are the fastest car on the grid, we could be seeing our boy Carlos back on those podiums again. And maybe some pole positions as well. But yeah, I'm so delighted for Carlos Sainz. Well done. Well done. That brought me joy. And you see that 100-meter sprint he done from after he got weighed in. He done his weigh in, and then ran over to his teammates and to the colleagues and the staff and everybody that worked so hard, tirelessly hard, with all these journeys. It was such a great day, and I'm just glad. I'm glad he's got it. I'm very, very happy for Carlos Sainz. It's crazy. I mean, if you want to see the video where I was ranting about him not doing so well, click this video over here. Or YouTube thinks you will like this video right over here. So, have a butcher's, whichever one you prefer. Smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you like Formula One content like this. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, man. If you could get me there, that would be sensational scenes. But until next time, lights out.